the screen that should be before you is an example of our eSubmission home screen. And if you are an authorized organization, that is a submitter organization, when you log into our system with your user ID and password, this is what you would see first. If you are enabled for search only, then you're going to be taken directly to the search application. So it just depends on what class of user or what status your organization has with regard to either of the services, but it is a single sign-on. And if you are authorized to access eSubmission, this is what you would see first. In our eSubmission service, there is a specific set of tools that helps you find the documents that you may be submitting to check on their status. And as you can see here, you can search recently recorded documents. You can search for a specific group or submission number that is assigned to an individual document, or you can do a simple county search. But what we're here to demonstrate today is the Iowa Land Record Search, at least in this portion of the program. And in order to access the search application, you do need to click on this icon that I'm hovering over with my cursor in order to get to the search application. And once you do that, then you will be taken to the application, and now you can perform any of a number of land record searches. If you are a submitter and you need to get back to the submission application, you simply select the submitter button in the upper portion of the screen, which I'm hovering over now, and you should be able to get back to the submission application very quickly. I'm not going to do that. We're going to stay with the search application. The important part of this is that we have 23 million plus records representing all 99 counties in the Iowa Land Records database. It grows every day, every month, every year. I don't know if we're approaching 24 million records yet, but we're going to be getting there. And not only are new documents that are recorded added to the system every day, but counties are also doing batch scanning projects to digitize older records and to get them electronically indexed. And as those records are added to the system, those become accessible as well. An abbreviated history is that we went through a planning process over a year ago to help design what the new search application would be. We got a lot of great input from our users and our stakeholder groups about how to organize it. And some of the themes that were part of that review was make searches more simple, make them a little bit less complicated, and at the same time, try to show more information about the records in the initial search results. And those two ideas really drove the design of this new application, and that's what you're going to see. So quickly, there are several different types of simple searches. You can search by name. You can search by a specific reference of a recorded document. So if a county search records a document using book and page as a reference number, or if they simply assign a reference number to it, you are able to search by either of those search criteria. If you are needing to search by a location description, oftentimes I've heard people refer to it as a legal description, but really it's something related to the location, and usually it is associated with the formality of platting land. And so if you're, for example, in an incorporated area, it's going to be platted, divided up into lots and blocks, and those are numbered and assigned by that particular county. Usually the county auditor's office and the county assessor's office are engaged in that process. So you can search by those things like lot, block, subdivision name, or section, township, and range if it is unplatted land. So that is something that you can do. Another type of search that we have is document types. Recorders across Iowa, and this is true nationally as well, each recording jurisdiction may have their own unique set of document types based on local practices and history. What we've tried to do in Iowa Land Records is map all those to a standard list, and that standard list document types is enumerated in the search application. And if you have a knowledge of what document type you're searching for, you can use that as a search criteria. Sometimes you aren't necessarily going to be in a position to say, well, I need a particular document type, or maybe you don't know the specific property location information. Even if you don't know the names of the parties, you can still perform a search just by looking at the county search option. And it's fairly simple. Choose a county and specify a date range, and you're going to get search results that help you find what you're looking for. Then last but not least, even though we received a lot of guidance and input that people wanted the searches to be simpler and easier to understand, there were those who said, but I still want to run a more advanced search. And an advanced search is something where you may match up different criteria to find something very specific if you know that piece of information. So if you know that the last name is a particular last name, and you know that it is in section 12 in a particular county, you can combine those criteria to help you find what you're looking for. I will share with you that in my observation and seeing people perform searches over time, usually you're looking very specifically for a particular document. You might not know what the reference number is, but you might know a name, and you might know that perhaps it was in a particular subdivision in a particular county. There are some combinations of the search criteria that are more useful than others, but not always, because if you are searching on multiple criteria, it is important that you really know for sure that those data elements are what you're looking for. Otherwise, you may find yourself very frustrated. So a piece of advice that I would share with most users of the search application is figure out which of the simple searches might serve you best. An example would be if somebody is looking for, they're just charged with paying attention to the recorded documents in a particular county, a small date range, maybe like yesterday or last week, searching in a particular county, particularly in most counties in Iowa, it's going to produce a fairly reasonable list that you can scan through and maybe help find the thing that you're looking for. And a county search is probably the most basic search of all. Similarly, if you really do know that you're looking for a satisfaction of mortgage document, and I'll just choose that as a type, you would perhaps pick out a particular county that you know the transaction occurred in, and then you might scroll through the list and pick satisfaction mortgage, and then you may say, well, I think it was last month. Okay, so we're talking about January, or I'm sorry, December at this point. So we're just going to run a simple search of that, and you can see that all of the satisfaction and mortgage documents in that particular county will appear here, and these are the results that you would find, and you can see that the recording date, all of these recording dates are in the month of December, which is last month. And one thing for new users is that the changes in the new search application that allow you to just choose the shortcut date ranges really is something that has proven to be very beneficial. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that. Although, if you did want to enter a custom date range and specify a specific beginning and ending date, the system does allow you to do that. The most specific type of search is a reference search. And then if you are searching in a particular county and you really do know the number of the document, that is the quickest and easiest way to find that particular document is to use the reference search. A small piece of advice that I would share with users is not every county uses the same methodology in organizing their searches. So, what by that I mean, they they just may have a different numbering system than other counties do, and it really pays off if you're searching in a particular county. Just to, I've done a few simple searches to look and see how their referencing number is set up, and if you understand that format, then it's going to be easier for you to use a reference number search or a booking page search. And it's going to be easier for you to use and help you find what you're looking for. The most common search in Iowa land records statistically is a name search. Most of the time, people are searching by name. And so in performing the search, it's important to understand how to perform that search. So I have been maybe this is not such a great idea, but I've been using my own name as a case study in how to perform a name search, and I'm going to do that again today. So the first thing that I know about me, and that you might know about your customer, is what county the property is located in. And in my case, most of my property history is in Polk County because I live in the Des Moines area, and so we're going to search in Polk County. There's no reason to search for anything that might be associated with me in any other county, because that's just where my life history is and where most of my property transactions have been. So I'm going to enter my last name here, and Dunshee is somewhat unique. It's not as common as Smith or Johnson or Peterson, and so you can have some confidence in it. There might be some people who are confused by the spelling of my last name. You can see where it would be possible for somebody to maybe think that it only ended in one E instead of two, but this is the way my name is spelled, so this is how we're going to enter that. The variability comes into play in the cases where you don't know exactly what the spelling is. So most of the time, if I am communicating with people, I use my shortened name, which is Phil, Phil. And that is the way that most people might think, well, that's the way I should search for the name. But it doesn't always work out that way. So I'm going to run a search here. I'm not going to enter a date range, and I'm just going to run the search. And you can see that there are 14 results here. And the name in all instances is my shortened name of Phil. Okay, and that's how everything appears. And the important thing to understand about that is that if you are aware of it, you might not find all of the results associated with me because there are different variations of my name. So another example, depending on, sometimes the organization I'm working with may mess up and spell my first name, Philip, with two L's. And there are documents out there in the record that are spelled with two L's, and if you know that, you can find those records. So here are 3 additional records that are associated with me that were incorrectly spelled, but are still in the record. And if you had just entered PHIL, you would not have found these particular records. So having that level of awareness. If I refine the search further and I correct the spelling, you can see that I will get the results of all of the things that show up that have my full name correctly spelled, but it isn't necessarily the same list as what appeared when I just searched for Phil. So how do you reconcile that? How do you make sure that you know that you're searching for and receiving everything that you should that is associated with me? And you do that by using a wildcard. So the wildcard character in Iowa Land Records is an asterisk, and the rule of thumb that everybody should follow is it is essentially most useful if you know what a spelling starts with. So if you think in your mind, starts with, and then follow it with a wildcard character, you are likely, in fact, guaranteed to find everything that is in the electronic database that has different variations of that spelling. So in this case, I have entered PHIL followed by an asterisk, which means show me everything with the last name entry in Polk County that has a first name that begins with PHIL, but may end in other combinations of characters. And when I run that search, I get 29 results. And that's because it's finding everything that has a first name of Phil. It's finding Philip with 1 L, and it's finding Philip with 2 L's. And so you have a higher confidence that, okay, you got everything because you used that wildcard character. So while I'm here, I'm just going to cover some basic information about the display of information and what you're actually looking at here. So as I said, one of the objectives was to try and display as much information as we can about a record. One of the things that we heard from our users is they wanted to see the location information right up front. They didn't want to have to click and drill down in order to see that. And so we have set this up so that if there is location information present in the record of that document, which isn't always the case because not all documents are associated with a specific property, but if it is there in the recorder's index, it will show up in the results. So you can see that this particular mortgage is associated with Lot 10 in the subdivision that's called The Woods, which happens to be located in Urbandale here in Polk County. The specific book and page. Polk County does use book and page, but not exclusively. They also use reference number, and sometimes some counties will use a similar nomenclature for instrument number, and in this case, Polk County happens to use both. You can see the parties' names. So this particular case, the mortgage was myself and my wife, Linda. A party was Bankers Trust that originated the mortgage, and then also a reference to the mortgage electronic registration systems. Okay. And then the recording date and time, obviously. And if there is an instrument date in the electronic index, which would be the date the document was executed, it will be displayed here. If it's not displayed, that means it is not in the index information that was sent to us by the county. If you need to see more information, let me scroll down here, see if I can find one. You can see that this particular warranty deed ends in an ellipses, meaning there is more information. So sometimes there is not enough space to show everything for that particular location information. In fact, some documents might have multiple locations within the same instrument, and they may not be able to display all of the information just because it's too long. However, if you click on the View Index data icon, then it will show the more complete index information fully spelled out. So that is a quick way to find that. I would say one of the pieces of feedback that we've received from users is that there is interest in displaying more of that information. Two other quick things. If you want to view the image of the document, just click on the PDF icon and it will pull up that instrument, and it's in a viewer through your browser, and you can easily download it or print it to your device if that is something you want to do. And then the third thing is this triangle icon with an exclamation point in it. It is a way for you to communicate with us easily. So if you think that, the spelling is not right in that name, or anything is wrong that you think needs to be corrected, maybe you look at the image and you see that a page is missing. Something's wrong with it. It got missed. It's an error in the overall system. Then let us know. And you would just simply click on that icon, choose from a different set of reasons why you're flagging that document, and then maybe entering a comment that will tell us more information. So 3 choices are related to personally identifiable information. None of the records posted on Iowa Land Records should have any PII in them. We run it through a process, and if we find it, we redact that information, but nothing is perfect. So if that ever were to be missed, we would ask you to use this set of messages to tell us. Maybe you find an error in the search application. You search for one thing and got something else. We want you to tell us about it. And if there's something wrong with the image itself, for example, then let us know. I'm going to conclude my part of this, and I am sorry we started a few minutes late. But the last thing I want to talk about is location search. And this is where I really want to encourage everybody to have a very good fix on what you're searching for and how a county has indexed their information, because this is probably the area of greatest variability from one county to the next in terms of the format. And be aware that not everybody has parsed their legal information or location information over time. So before electronic indexing happened, particularly in the early years, back in the late 80s and 90s, there was some transitional getting used to doing what you should be doing, and not everybody parsed or separated their information. So if you have unplatted land, uh, there's a separate field for section, separate field for township, separate field for range and quarter section. And if you're looking in platted land, there's a separate field for the town where the plat is, the subdivision name, and the specific plot and lot or unit number associated with that, all based on how the surveyors have laid this out and how the city zoning departments have set it up. Um, but not every county did that exactly the same way, or they didn't all start it at the same time. And so you're going to find situations where maybe the information has not been parsed or separated in quite the way that you expect it to. And that is something that we're going to be working on to try and what we refer to as normalizing that data. That isn't going to happen overnight, but we are going to be making that a goal as we go forward. So um, just kind of buyer beware type of situation. Location searches are not always going to be your best bet. If you're a surveyor or if you have a role that really requires you to do that, totally understand. Just understand that that is probably the least perfect part of the database, and until we have an opportunity to normalize it and get things corrected, there may be some frustration associated with that. Okay, I'm going to take just a moment to review questions in the chat. First one is, can you share an example using the wildcard and reference numbers search, please? I will give you an example. I wouldn't necessarily say these are best practices, but I would say you're going to find as you look in the database that that different counties have done things a little bit differently. Some have actually abbreviated subdivision names. Some of them have abbreviated city and town names. So in that particular case, you're probably going to want to consider using a wildcard to say if you're looking for something in Burlington, Iowa, down in Des Moines County, you might start that with a BUR or a BU followed by an asterisk just to see what you get. Again, I think a very good practice for any of you is to run some very simple searches in a jurisdiction like a county and then just see how they've done it. You're going to be able to pick up on, do they abbreviate, do they not? What are the abbreviations that they use? And that really comes into play, especially for city, town, and subdivision information. Block and lots are sort of numeric, and you may find some variability in terms of some counties using a leading zero and some who do not. And again, you're going to want to investigate that. The same is somewhat true for the for the unplatted land, but in this case, the section township range and are typically numeric, and so you're going to want to make sure that you're using the correct format of the numeric entries in that particular county, and then not every county is handled indexing the quarter section in exactly the same way either. So it's the variability that would come into play in terms of whether your search for a location is successful or not. But the best use of the wildcard, in my opinion, in the location search is looking for variations in city and town and subdivision name. the next one, if I was searching for a particular reference number, but say I only know the first 5 numbers, could I start typing the number and add the asterisk after it to let the website know there may be more numbers included? Say the reference number was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but I only knew it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna say give that a try. Uh, I don't I don't think the wildcard is as useful in um, character and numeric strings, but I do believe it is enabled. So if you wanted to give that a try, um, but uh, it's usually more useful in situations for a text. What you can count on is, um, from my point of view, um, recorders reference numbers are sequenced. So every new recording gets a sequence number that's higher than the previous. I think it can be said that that is universally true. So if it's a sequence you're trying to explore, I think you might be better off choosing a date range. So you might just say, I only want to look for the things on this particular day because I know it is in a sequence. And the typical thing, and as a practical matter, there may not be as many applications for applying a wildcard to a sequential number. That would be my input to you. Um, let's see. Okay, I think I answered that one. Are there any, did I skip over anything? Um, okay, so again, the wild card, I would say, the best use of the wild card, again, to repeat myself, is, in those character strings, the subdivision name, the individual name, the company name, those are the things where I think you're going to find it. You will find that the wildcard feature will work in other fields as well. But those character strings, those letters, combinations of letters starts with, you're going to have more success there than searching by numeric strings. But in most of the fields, yes, it is enabled. I don't have the list in my head, but I've done quite a few searches, and in most cases, I've been able to actually use the wildcard. It doesn't always turn out to be that useful in every case. So just keep that in mind and give it a try, see what works. But I think generally the answer is yes, but it's not always practical to do it that way. Um, um, Lisa's reminded me to put a note in about searching for multiple counties. And we do have it set up so that you can search for some counties. In the old system, yeah, there was an ability to choose all counties and do a statewide search. That is not as true anymore. And really what you've got is the ability to search up to 5 counties at a time. And if I were to try to add another county here, it wouldn't let me do it. So, and the purpose of that is, as a practical matter, you're looking for information about a specific transaction, about a specific property, and the system really was never intended or designed to, allow you to download the whole database onto your hard drive. It's there to be a resource for real estate professionals who are looking for information. We set a limit of 5 counties because there might be a situation where you have a person that um, lives in a particular geographic area like Southeast Iowa, and they may actually own property in multiple counties in that region, and there may be some utility in that. So, particularly in contiguous counties. Um, um, you might find a situation where you want more information than that. I understand the idea, but when you think about enabling legislation, there are limits to our ability to share bulk data um, and legally. And so that's why we try and keep it focused on this system is there to help you find what you're looking for, but not to find everything all at once. And appreciate ongoing input on that, but that is the way it is. I've overused my time. I think I need to hand off to Lisa now. If you have more questions about searching, please submit them to us. Send an email to support@chloris.com from our main pages, and I would be glad to assist you. With that, I'm going to hand off to Lisa. Thank you, everybody.
All right, so I'm going to keep going. I can't see any of your comments, so I'm going to keep going, and I apologize for that. What you see here is the home screen. You will see if you are an e-submission customer or submitter, as we say, when you dial in. First, on the left, you'll see our welcome with today's date, how to reach out to us if you need help. And in time, this will be updatable for us, so we'll be able to enter information telling you about scheduled maintenance, which, by the way, we have some scheduled maintenance for the end of this week, Friday night at the close of business through Saturday at noon. Then you've got home. If you click on home, you'll always come back to this main screen. How to update your password if you need to do that. And you can do that right here. I'm not going to change my password today, but I'm going to show you something that is one of my favorite things about e-submission, what we call 2.0, is down here where you can select by default, use the party name information for the first document for all subsequent documents in a group. So imagine that you have a group with several documents in it. You only have to enter the name for the first party. And then after that, it will always populate for you. And then you can always edit that. And I'll show that to you as I go through the demonstration here. I'm going back to the home screen here. Then we have eSearch. This is where you will search for documents that you have submitted for recording. ILR search, the search database that Phil demonstrated earlier today. Admin, we have 3 roles in e-submission. We have an accounting role, someone who cannot submit documents, but they can update payment information and they can generate reports for reconciliation. Then we have the submitter role who can submit documents and edit documents that they have submitted. And of course, they can always come back to eSearch and download those recorded documents from your organization. And then finally, we have the administrator on the account, and they can do everything. So from here, they can update the submitter information. They can update account information. So maybe you move or you have new information. Submitter payment information, if you wanted to change payment types or your organization has changed banks or received a new credit card for payment. They have access to update users here. Users are pretty easy to update. You can always add a new user here. A frequent question we have is, I added people, but their status is still pending. So when a user is established, you enter all their information, including a temporary password, provide that information to the new user and have them log in, update the password, and their status will update to active. So that's why they're still pending. Remember, that's a temporary password, and we would say take care of it by the end of the day if possible. If you wanted to delete a user, click right here, and then it asks you if you want to do that, and you say yes or no, we're not going to delete Myrna. She's one of our developers and we want to keep her around. So if someone is deactivated on your account, give us a call and we can reactivate them for you. So going back to the home screen, under admin, there's also reports that an accounting role person would also have access to. So the settlement report to generate a report of any charges on your account. And then continuing to the right, we have support. So we have resources. All of our webinars are out here, and how to DOV, PDF guides, a recorded webinar, and other information, a training videos, and then a transfer tax calculator. if you need that. And then about us, history, meet our team, and our accountability. We're very transparent about what we do, and we're always happy to answer those questions. So going back to home and back to here, my intention today is in the next 10 minutes to show you how to submit documents for recording, how to resubmit a document that has been declined or that there is a fee change on it. And I think that's all. So you're going to submit a group for recording. You're going to select new submission, select the county, enter the group name. It can be anything you like as long as it is unique. And should not have a special character in it. So there you go. There's our group name. So think of that as kind of addressing the envelope or the container to get those over to the recorder. And then you start adding documents. So it's kind of like you're stacking those up. It's like, okay, I've got all of these that need to go to Adair County for this group. Okay, so in this package, I'm going to submit a warranty deed, a declaration of value, a groundwater hazard, and a power of attorney so that you can see how that would work. So first step, select the document type, and I'm going to scroll down. These are in alphabetical order. The number of auditor transfer fees defaults to 1. You can edit that to any number that you want. The highest charge that is available or allowable by law in Iowa is $50. So even though you put something higher than 10, you'll only be charged 50. Then you have to enter a real estate value. I'll enter $75,000. Browse for the image and save it. And so then you see that it asks me for the grantor or the grantee. I can enter either in a person or an organization. I'm going to enter my own name just because that's easy and save it. And then it tells me a whole bunch of things right now. It tells me that the recording fee was $92. That's based on the document image that is attached. The number of pages are counted and the fee is calculated. There's one transfer fee for the $5 here, and then the transfer tax of $119.20 calculated off of the $75,000 value. And then you've got the total of $219.20, and the group total is up here. So you can see that and you can watch that increase or decrease as you add documents or change fees. Okay, I'm scrolling down. I've got one party. I can edit that if I want to. So I can make this be Amy and save it. I can delete it if I want to, but if I do, the system will tell me I have to add a party name. And then it's also telling me that I need a declaration of value and a groundwater. So I'll go ahead and add those by clicking add document and the deck of value. Again, they're in alphabetical order. So scroll down, grab that image, attach it, save it. No fees for declaration of values. The name is pre-populated because I've got that attribute checked of using the same party name for all of them, but I can still edit this if I like. And the fee change, the total fees for the group didn't change. And it's still telling me that I need a groundwater. So I'm going to go ahead and add that groundwater. And there it is. And add the image. And again, there's no fees for a groundwater document. So the total fees aren't going to calculate for this document, and it won't calculate up here in the total. And so let's add one more document, that power of attorney that I was talking about, and grab the image for that. And save it. So you've got the standard fee of $22. There's no transfer fee for a power of attorney, and just the $3 service fee on the document. So a total of $25, and that's included up here in the group fees. So you've got these 4 documents. You've got the deed, the deck of value, the groundwater, and the power of attorney. And you realize, oh, maybe that power of attorney should have been at the top. You don't have to delete and start over. All you have to do is left click on it and roll it right up here to where you want it. So it's a drag and drop to get that in order. You can do so many things here. You can change the names here if you want to. You can change it to Lisa, back to Lisa. You can change the county if you like. So I submitted to Adair, but let's go down and submit this to Ringgold. So you can do that. It updates that. So all the documents are now going to Ringgold County. You can look at the image if you wanted to. You can always click on a submission number and look at what you've got. It's a warranty deed, 75,000. You wanted to edit that, and you realize it's 85. You can do that. As long as it hasn't been submitted, you're good. You can change the image if you want to. There you go. It'll automatically update the fees. So, now it's got the different fees. And review the group. If everything looks good. And you can also send a note here to the recorder if you wanted to. And then final step is always submit group. A quick note, if you would ever, and so you get that message here that it's been submitted successfully, but you will not receive an email telling you it has been submitted. So you would use eSearch to find that, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Quick note that if you ever submit something in error, to the wrong county, shouldn't have been submitted, call the county, please. Do not call our office, don't email our office, grab your phone, call the county and say, help. I submitted something in error and I need to have it declined. In a couple of the larger counties, Johnson, Lynn, Polk, Dallas, you'll want to ask who's working on e-submissions to get you to the right person quickly. So I want to show you one more submission for Adair, and remember, the group names can be anything you like as long as it's unique. So this again is a deed, and again with the $85,000 value. And I'm going to browse for the image. And you may remember there was a big change in law last year where if there's no positive conditions on a groundwater, you don't need to submit that. So you do have to have the exemption language on the deed, but you don't have to submit it. And so if I were to save this right now, and I'm going to put just junk information in here for the party, it's still telling me I need that groundwater document, but it's exempt, right? So you don't need it. So all you have to do is you can click edit, and I could have done this initially, but click this exemption box, and then save it, and then it will take away the requirement of the deck of value of the groundwater, but it'll still tell you you need the deck of value. If and so I could add that to this group. If you were submitting a deed in fulfillment of a contract where the deck and the groundwater were both submitted at the time the contract was recorded, then you're going to select both exemptions here. You also might find yourself doing that on a quitclaim deed, that you wouldn't have those documents. One more quick thing I'd like to show everyone is additional transactions. In general, I would tell you to not use this field. It is not the number of additional documents in a group. It is when there is more than one transaction on a document. As an example, you have a first and second mortgage on your house. You go in and pay them both off. Instead of the bank submitting one document for recording, they combine them on two, but there is an additional $7 fee. So just keep that in mind. Try not to use additional transactions. If you have questions, it's a great question to answer. Ask our team or to ask the recorder's office. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and submit that group, and then quickly show you how to resubmit something that has been declined or in a fee change. So documents are submitted for recording. The recorder reviews and returns it to you because there's a decline. There's a problem with the document. So what you're going to receive is an email telling you it was declined that includes the reason it was declined and who declined it at the recorder's office, including their email and their phone number. So if you have a question, it's a really great opportunity to connect with them. So this one was declined, and I've got two that are declined, one that's approved. So I would have received 2 emails telling me this was declined. All I need to do is click on the submission number, and I can scroll down to history and see that it needed to be scanned in black and white. General practice, we encourage everyone to scan all documents in black and white, portrait orientation, and 300 DPI. Make sure that ensures everyone gets a really good quality recorded document. So to fix this, you're going to select edit, and you're going to find a new image for that document. So you've gone and rescanned it in black and white and save it. And the status up here, submit updates to resubmission. And notice that submit group is not active because I still have one document declined. Also, I know this is the group I'm working on because it has a lock on it. And if someone else on my team tried to access that group, they would receive a notice or a warning telling them that you're already in that document. Okay, so one more time, we're going to fix this one. Click on the submission number. Again, you have the email from the county telling you why it was declined and what the concern is, and the notary stamp is missing. So if you're going to fix that, you're going to select edit and get the new document and save it. And now the group is ready to be submitted. So in this group, there were 2 declined, 1 approved. Nothing has been recorded. This was approved, but not recorded. Also, you're never charged until the document is actually recorded. So you didn't get charged at submission, and you didn't get charged because this one was approved. And final step is always submit group. Okay, we're a little bit over time. Give me 2 minutes, we'll be done. And if you have questions, please connect with our team. We can walk you through anything, and we'll be happy to do a webinar for your team. Okay, webinar. So you've got a fee change. So you submitted something. The recorder says, oops, those fees aren't right. I'm going to send that back to them and get it corrected. So you've got those emails again for every document that has a fee change. You've got an email from them. But you're going to come in here. You're going to click on the webinar, the group, and it says it has been changed to complete. Please accept the fee change. So easy peasy, you can click these boxes over here to accept. If you want to review more, you click the submission number and again, go to the history, and you'll see they went from 17 to 10. 17 is the amount of an additional transaction that, or $7. That fee change is $7. It's the amount of the additional transaction. And so that was removed. And if you agree with that, all you do is click this fee change here, and it goes into the status of resubmission. And then you've got an affidavit of non-transfer. And again, you're going to click here and scroll down, and the fees went from 15 to 10. So I know that on this document, it was changed from an affidavit of transfer, so a document that would convey property, to an affidavit of non-transfer. It's not conveying property, it's a statement of fact. And so that's why that $5 auditor fee went away. If everything's good, you can click right here. Last step is always submit group. And we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Finally, I've got this one out here that I just started, but I didn't submit. So if I wanted to get rid of that, easy. I can get rid of that whole group by clicking the trash can. You may remember if you ever used legacy e-submission, you had to delete each document within the group and then delete the group. So it's nice you can do it all in one. To find the documents that you have recently submitted, learn what their status is. You'll select eSearch. And then we're going to search by county and a DARE and the submission date. And I'm going to put in yesterday, and then I'm going to put in today as the end date. And search. So I can see everything that has been submitted in the last couple days. So it's nice to see what's going on. So you've got these fee changes. Those are ready for recorder approved, and also ready for recorder. So you can see that they're out there. And if I back this up, we've been doing some testing in Adair County. So let's see what comes up. You can see we've got 17 documents. I'm going to make this up to 25. And you can scroll across and see what's going on. So I've got docs in stamped, recorder declined, ready for download, which is part of the recording process. It comes after recorder approved. stamped, so it's got the index information on it, hasn't reached the paid status yet, at which point you would be charged and you would receive notification. So, Kristen and Phil, I'm going to rely on all of you to let me know if there is a question out there. And then the real quick thing I'm going to do is show how to generate a report here for charges. So you're going to select reports and settlement report. And I'm going to do the current month and generate the report. So we can see all of the charges so far for this month in Cerro Gordo. And it's got the group name, submission number, when it happened, the reference date. I'm not sure we've got a recording date of 2020. This is test data, so we'll take a look at that. The reference number, which I really like, the book and page, the document type, and who submitted that. So there's a lot of information there if you need to go back and forth and determine what's going on. Anyone have questions?
We are monitoring for questions. Question, if you can hear me, questions submitted was, does ready for recorder mean it's waiting to be approved? And I don't know if Lisa can hear me or not, but the answer to that is yes, that's what it means. Ready for recorder means that the
Ready for
submission.
recorder means it is waiting to be approved, yes. So it would be ready for recorder, then recorder approved. And then just like you go through and add documents to a group, when the recorder is reviewing, they review each document and then submit the group. So they're going, okay, we've got these 3 documents. We're gonna look at the deed, everything looks good. We're gonna look at the declaration of value. It matches the amount that was included for transfer tax on the deed. All the information's correct, all the phone numbers and signatures, et cetera, are there. Groundwater, and then so they're approving one by one as they go. And then when, again, like you add documents and submit the group, they're going to submit that group for indexing. Other questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then on behalf of all of us at Iowa Land Records, thank you for joining us today. Our office isn't based in Johnston. We're all a local group. We enjoy working with all of you, and we wish you all the very best in the new year. And thanks for joining us today. Have a good day.